You know what's right. You know what's good. Why'd I say that? I don't know. This is my dog. Anyway, so I wanted to show you guys my new matte box. Pretty cool. One of the fancy things about this matte box is that you can put filters in it. Yeah, filters like this. Ready? You put the filter in like that, and guess what? Bam! Tighten it in right there. And then, oh, was that a mistake? It wasn't very smooth, was it? Well, this is supposed to allude to talking about intuition and how to describe it. See what I was trying to do there? Probably not. Hopefully I can clarify what happened right there. So imagine this matte box is like life. You're living through life, and every single one of these filters is another event or a culmination, not really a culmination of events. Yeah, a culmination of events, but it is the cream of the crop that you pick up from after several events. You may not remember the events themselves, but you remember how they made you feel afterward. And so when you put one of those filters in, this line appears out of nowhere. But then a little bit later in life, you go through some other things and experiences and whatnot, and then you have another conclusion, I guess, from several events in your life. So how does this tie into intuition? Well, the best way that I can try to explain what intuition is like these layers of these filters. I guess, only because these are called filters, but just call them layers. They're these layers in your life, and they all kind of hold a different pattern. And so when an intuitive person comes across some kind of conclusion they need to make, or they see somebody and they make like an intuitive response or connection to something, or they're trying to express their feeling about something, they may say something like, well, you know, it's kind of like a plus sign. And the other intuitive person goes, okay, I could see it being a plus sign, but I can also see it be an X. And so the other intuitive person goes, and looks and is like, you know what? It really could be an X. That's really cool. And the sensory person is like, what the crap are you guys talking about? X's and pluses, someone's holding their hand in their nose or whatever. Or something far more pragmatic as to what's actually happening. And the poor sensory people have no freaking clue what these intuitive people, what their lingo is even talking about, because it's just completely like another, it's not even another language. It's like saying, what's the color of the sky? And then you say turkey. Like, I ask you what the color of the sky was, not what about why turkey? And so that's kind of what intuition sounds like to sensory people. So the thing is that intuitive people don't really know exactly how this line comes to be, because this line kind of comes up with, or is a part of several different practical events that have happened. Such as, let's say this one is a person, and based on how they behaved or talked, they also resemble a certain kind of, because this is really ambiguous. This is why intuition is very hard to try to explain, because it's all these little bits and pieces is actually taking a hold of a lot of information and then only taking the parts that are important. So that's why it's very hard for intuitive people to really explain what they are feeling. Now, some people, they really can, and they can go through the web, and which is incredible, go through what all these little, no, I just put blue all over myself, what all these like tie into, and it's really incredible that they can do that. But this one little dot represents maybe this one kind of person that acted a certain way, and then this other dot or not dot, but segment in the intuitive, like, final response may be about could be how a school is and how the people in the school were. I mean, really, it's a mess of things. I can't even really give you like practical like examples, because it really is. It could be one person to a country to how something tasted at a restaurant, and then the thing is, at the very end, you finally get. If I can get this open with one hand, it's really impressive. You finally get this line. And so people say, or intuitive people would say, line. And other intuitive people would say, yeah, I could see it also being a sideways line. Doesn't even have to be an up, right up, or straight up and down line. And then so it's really difficult for sensory people to know what in the world is what's happening. So as life goes on, far more complex designs start to be created, with far more just events in your life and things that have happened, and you start to pull together like people and how they act and how they behave. And not only that, but also you can even you can see how dogs behave with people, and how they just behave in general. Or then you have to be behaving, but like, hey, so this kind of phenotype normally is kind of like this, and just a mess of things. So it's really nice, though, for any sensory friends that I do have. I would say a conclusion, really kind of because based off of someone saying, I like to think about cake a lot. I can tell so much about a person just because they said they think about cake. Now, the thing is, sensory-wise, they're thinking I'm only making crap up just because they said I'm making a conclusion because they said I like cake, or not like cake, I think about cake. And so I've come up with this wild, conclusion based off of that. But it's these little designs that have been, in these layers after years and years, and you start to come up with very complex artwork, basically, or pictures. And then I say something like an elephant, and they're like, what in the world? How does cake have to do anything with an elephant? Well, because I forget they're not intuitive, and so you actually have to go through the web trying to explain how all these different pieces come to mind, or come to creating this picture, but they don't have this picture in their mind, so they don't even have a reference for this kind of way of thinking, and so you need to try to explain to them in a pragmatic way, and it gets into a mess. So, I mean, that's kind of my way to try to explain intuition. It kind of gets into it is a pain in the butt sometimes, especially because most of the world is a little bit more pragmatic, and it is good to know, like, where do these feelings come from, and where, not really feelings, but I first see something and my first initial reaction is this, and why is that? What's practical in my life? Because in the end, these are a whole bunch of practical pieces coming up to create these images or create these complex structures. And so it's not like, you're Superman that have like a third eye or whatever. There are practical pieces that are being built, and your mind is able to bring a whole amount or a lot of information and create bigger pictures. It's just really difficult to try to explain it to sensory people because they don't have that kind of frame of reference of thinking. And so it's really good when other people try to challenge you to try to explain what you're thinking and whatnot, and all that wonderful stuff. Also, my brother is an INFJ. He has a YouTube channel that you guys may be interested in watching or being a part of. He's like 60 subscribers away from 1,000, and I guess there's like some rule that YouTube put out, like you have to have 1,000 subscribers in order to get money, and that's kind of a way that he was trying to support himself. So if you can go and check him out, he is Alexander Empire. A link is in the description below, and go tell him that Eric the INTP says hi. And well, I hope you all enjoy yourself. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about intuition. How do you try to explain intuition, and what do you think the differences are between intuition and sensing, or sensory/pragmatic thinking? I'd love to hear it, and I will see you guys in another video in another life. You never know. Do you know the way?